Hi everyone, welcome back to Spiritual Growth Tarot. I'm Denise, and this will be your astrology reading for, we're going to go Sunday, April 24th through Saturday the 30th. Yeah, why does that not sound right? 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th. Yeah, it's it. Sounds like 6 days, but it's actually 7. So anyway, you're probably cracking up by now. It's like, But we have Pluto retrograde happening. We have on the 29th, and we also have the new moon solar eclipse at 10 degrees Taurus happening on the 30th, on Saturday. So there's a lot. So I'm going to talk you all through it and give you some tips on what to look for in for your life experience. So, okay, anyway, let me drop the camera down and show you the charts. Okay, so I have the charts for this coming up week here, but I wanted to touch in a little bit on Saturday's chart that, because you guys get this really early Saturday morning, so this is still in effect before we get to Sunday morning. And I wanted to reiterate, the Pluto square, not only the sun, but the moon being involved. We're talking power struggles here, and we have to remember that Pluto, being, the slowest moving planet in the zodiac, is the one that has the most control. And Pluto in Capricorn is all about wanting control. So, here we are. And even though this is on Saturday, this is the build-up towards it. So we had the moon over here, in Capricorn on Friday, and then made it across the other side. But what rules? Well, just think about Aquarius. It's an air sign, and we have Saturn in Aquarius right now, and we had the ridiculous government. This federal judge in Florida suddenly, just lift the mask mandates. So here we are, Pluto's trining the North Node in Taurus, which is all about safety. Uranus is in Taurus, which is all about safety. Mercury's in Taurus, right in between the two. And when Mercury conjunct, I think we're going to be seeing, the problem is the lies with Mercury in Taurus, the lies that can, and even though this is a harmonious aspect, well, it's harmonious for control. And so, I have a list here of the ones that, okay, so here are the airlines that lifted the mask mandate. Alaska, American, Delta, Frontier, Hawaiian, JetBlue, Spirit, Southwest, United, and airline rules, Saturn rules and regulations. Aquarius can definitely be about air travel. And so to me, they just proved that they cared more about their own money than our health, right? So yeah, go ahead, go fly in one of those airlines without a mask and see how you do. It's like you'd have to be an idiot. And they are abound, right? They were filmed taking off taking off their masks and woohoo, like a bunch of kids, like a bunch of stupid kids. There are kids that kids aren't stupid. Kids are just ignorant. That's all. But a grown adult to do that, to me, is stupid. So now that I've got my rant out of the way. Let's see what the new week brings in. And like I said, it's a really big week because Pluto will go retrograde towards the end of the week. We have that new moon solar eclipse coming up on Saturday, and so there's so much. So leading into it though, with Sunday, having the moon conjunct Saturn here, I think there could be some lessons around these regulations. And so Saturn is still, we're still going to be, until, what is it? What did I figure out? September before Saturn gets out of that. No, till November. It was November. To the nodes right here. But now what we have involved is the moon squaring Uranus. You can see the 16 to 14 degrees. So even before 4 a.m. on Sunday morning, the moon squares Uranus, and here we are with the lies of these government, Saturn, government regulators. Look at that. Mercury can be lies, and in Taurus it would be lies in order to have the money. It's all about the money with these guys, right? And, the polarity of Taurus and Scorpio can be all about the money. Well, when you're dealing with humanity's Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, humanity's health, not even mentioning, well, I have to mention it here, I'm going to mention it. How about climate change? How about we lessen the load on the earth by not getting on a plane every time we just want to go somewhere, just for fun? Like, how about we use the internet and Zoom and Skype and, whatever, and the phone? How about we start thinking that way so that we might have a planet left to live on for our grandchildren and great-grandchildren without these horrendous, weather disasters constantly happening. And we have to think that way because Uranus is about the future. Aquarius is about the future. And government, people in government positions and people in corporate, Saturn, government corporate positions, Pluto and Capricorn, they have proven over and over and over they only care about the money. So if we won't take self-responsibility for our future and heal the past, there's so much self-responsibility in Scorpio, Taurus, and Saturn. Pluto and Saturn, because Pluto's ruled by, Pluto and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So to put it all in a nutshell, if we don't take self-responsibility for our own health and our own lives and create a sustainable future, then what's the point? We're just going to have some really hard lessons. So I'm saying, don't trust the government. Don't trust the, some parts of it you can trust, right? I mean, the things that do run well are great. And then other parts that are unsustainable are going to continue to break down. And that's what Pluto and Capricorn is all about. It's breaking down these structures that are based just in money that are unsustainable, absolutely unsustainable. And it's unsustainable to use up oil like we have, right? I mean, what burns up most, like that high level petrol, ethanol, whatever, those are jets and rockets. So, you can imagine how I feel about Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and who was that other idiot? Oh God, I can't remember his name. I can see I can see it in my mind's eye. The guy, Virgin, whatever, records dude. Was it Richard Branson? I don't know. I might have him mixed up. I should just stop my rant with that. But this is the backdrop of what we're dealing with, and here we are, these, spiritual beings having a human experience, trying to be in the world but not of it. And so many of us have nothing to do with war. We do not have warring tendencies inside of us, but we are having to stand up for compassion. And that's the big thing. That's the big lead up this week. Like, just remember this configuration here, the nodes to Saturn, is that's in effect, through November, through mid-November. But this moon is illuminating the lies right here, right? Because we have Mercury exact squaring Saturn, illuminating the lies. And then this other backdrop here is this absolutely beautiful aspect. Well, it can be for the most part, but this stellium, 4 planets, and the moon. Wait till you see when the moon gets to Mars and into that stellium, to the nodes here. And here again is that aspect of the architect to help us in the future and release and heal the past. And this is all about compassion and spirituality and knowing that we're all connected. We're all connected. And Venus is, she's nothing to sneeze at. Well, Neptune mostly. Neptune can be diffuse. It can be otherworldly. It can be something so subtle you can only sense it, with your high sense perception. But Venus is earthly. She rules Taurus and Libra. She's earthly. And, just think of like the Empress in Tarot, and you've got Venus. That's Venus. But put her in Pisces, and she wants to love and take care of everyone. And it's painful, especially with Jupiter here. It's painful to not see the healing that needs to be happening, because what really should have been happening by now is all of these countries taking responsibility for their emissions, for their carbon, footprint. And instead what they're doing, they seem to be, I heard some awful stuff about Canada this week, where they're not taking responsibility for what goes out into the environment because they're trying to blame it all on natural disasters. But that can't be the case when it's, when it's auto emissions, right? So I look at this and I think, what about, the planet? What about Mother Earth? And then I also wonder about people overdoing it with alcohol or drugs or any other type of addictions because they're feeling this pressure and feeling hopeless. And there is nothing like hopelessness to get a person to try to escape. And so I worry about that. I'm concerned about it. But then again, I know that we never really die. We don't. But I feel like if we're avoiding something when we leave, we're just going to bring it into the next lifetime. And why have to go through all that pain all over again when you can heal it here and now just by taking self-responsibility for your future and healing the past? Sometimes it's a lot of forgiveness that's needed, and other times it's it is literally standing up for your own power, being in your own power. And this is, the aspect we had all week last week, and I probably didn't give enough credence to it because, the sun and the moon will square Pluto every month, right? At some point. But with this other configuration and with Pluto getting ready to transit, it's going to get to its stationary position where it just stops before it goes, backwards. That leading up this week and having that full moon in Libra that we had that squared Pluto, it's like the full moon was over here, sun was here, Pluto was over here. That was very intense. I think on the relationship level and on the level of trying to balance ourselves as we move throughout life. So standing in our power and taking self-responsibility for what we're creating in our lives and what we're creating on the planet and how we're treating the planet and how we're treating each other and trying to just love ourselves and each other, through everything that's going on. That's the important piece. So I'm going to go ahead and move into Monday because these aspects, many of these aspects are the same. And here we have the moon caught up. Okay, so again, the backdrop is still there with Saturn, right? We can't let this go until November, and this is our testing ground here about healing the past and moving forward in an enlightened way that is sustainable. Just think Taurus, if we had anything in Virgo, just think of all the earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, is all about healing and sustainability. It's about growth and healing and safety and preservation in Taurus. Virgo can be healing and cutting the wheat from the chaff and discerning what's important. And then Capricorn is like, okay, that I've got a plan and I'm going to do that, right? So with Saturn squaring the nodes, because Saturn rules Capricorn, we're having to adjust, we're having to weigh, we're having to balance out, the past and the future with some new rules for society in Aquarius. This is because Aquarius is all about the future, and with it squaring, Mercury, this is about, people trying to control us, just and who cares about our safety? It's all about their money, right? So I won't say anything more about that, but we're having to realize that this is what's going on. We're having to, Uranus, wake up to Saturn and Aquarius, to these other people who are going crazy with the rules. And this even applies to the inflation. Because I have a really hard time believing that things have inflated to that price, the price points that they're trying to sell. And you know how when things are raised, when prices are raised, they usually don't go back down. And I'm feeling like this is a bunch of greedy corporations who are thinking, oh, we can use the excuse of COVID. Oh, we can use the excuse of the supply-demand chain, and they're going nuts with it. That's what I'm feeling. And here we are, right? Here we are with this stellium. Now the moon's square. So I'm going to try and just kind of leave the moon out just for a moment to explain this. So remember the sextile, this aspect of the architect, the lever law into the future is great for spirituality. But if we're going to go nuts with our spending, thinking, no, it's always going to be great, and things that the prices will come back down, I'm here to say I'm not so sure that that's going to even happen. Because I know enough about corporate greed. The CEOs of all these big corporations, they got a 20% pay raise this year. How do you like that? Does that not piss you off? It sure does me. So I rebel by being very careful about which companies I invest in. I'm not talking about stocks. I don't own any stocks. But, would I buy these certain things anymore from this, this company that hasn't pulled out of Russia or is bad on the environment and doesn't give a rat's ass, right? I mean, I do my research before I invest. And then the human atrocities that are happening, this is all about, the war here. The human atrocities that because they can make money off of it, right? These big companies that, they're making money. They're going to make tons of money. The war machine pays off. And with this moon in Pisces newly today, we're going to be feeling it. We're going to be feeling even more compassionate. And notice how it squares, especially the North Node and Mercury here. And again, it's like, are we going to be victimized by the liars? Or are we going to do our research, Scorpio? Do our research and dig into the past, look at what these companies have invested in and how they're doing. I mean, this is even like Elon Musk talking about or trying to buy Twitter. Does anybody trust that? I think not. I mean, if you're a big Elon Musk fan, then okay, fine, more power to you. But do you really know him? Do you really trust him with your future? And with somebody that has $280 billion at their disposal, plus the ability to, see, that's the thing, when they're that rich, they usually don't use their own money, they get investors. And they keep their own money, they hoard it. You know, that's the Taurus, the downside of Taurus is that hoarding. So there's that's on the table. And you know, Twitter, even though it's a small company now, I mean, it holds a lot of communication, what's the word, weight? I mean, every politician is on Twitter. What if Elon Musk wanted to give Twitter back to Trump? Just because, I don't know, maybe he likes him. We don't really know how he feels about Trump. And when somebody's disconnected, Saturn in Aquarius, if they're disconnected from their heart, they make decisions based just on money, right? And we're going to see this, you know, while the south node's in Scorpio and the north node's in Taurus, until we get through, you know, because the nodes move backwards. So we've got, look at how many degrees we have to get to 0 degrees Scorpio and Taurus. It's another good year or so, because the nodes change about every 18 months. They change signs. So these are things to watch, right? And we know that we've already gone through an information, disinformation, warfare situation when the nodes were in Gemini and Sag. Well, Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo as well. Jupiter rules Sag. And so we can see a blow up. Jupiter expands. Neptune can be delusion. Venus can be money. Mars can be I want it and I want it now. Although all of this can be so good for spirituality and so good for getting on your path and so beautiful for meditation and music and art. And you can have actual, you know, physical types of sensations by tapping in, you know, the way music can, you know, make your hair stand up all over your body, or meditation with your guides and you get that direct knowing in your gut. You know, because we're talking all things physical with Taurus. And so with this aspect of the architect here, we can really heal the past and we can get very creative with our future if we're tuned into our guides. But there are deluded people out there. There are deluded people out there that are acting as if they know it all. And so I'm talking about dirty gurus, you know, dirty yogis that, just do some research. They're out there. They're dangerous. People have died because of them. People have been sexually abused because of them. So this is part of the problem here. So we have to be very, very, very careful about who we trust when we have this line up here. But with the moon coming in, we're going to have to feel our way through it. You know, it can be kind of nebulous. It can be kind of challenging. I really appreciate that the nodes are in, especially the north node in Taurus, because if it doesn't work, one of the rules for me is if it doesn't work with my humanity, no matter what spiritual path or, you know, trying things out, then it's not healthy. If it doesn't support my health and my sustainability, it's not it's not, so if you get guidance about something that's just so far out there, well, maybe part of it's true and you have to be careful, right? And especially if it involves money, because remember, Venus is money. So be very careful about what things you invest in, because you could have that type of experience, especially when Venus moves into Aries, and crosses it. Because remember, the Moon, Mars, and Venus, they all, especially the Moon, they're going to just, cross over and be in Aries. So if you make some decisions, some financial decisions, like let's say a loan or a big purchase, under this influence, you might not like it later on. You might feel like, oh, what have I done? Right? You have to be careful, very careful under this type of. But it's great. It's awesome for hanging out with your guides and for doing your art, whatever your art is. Any intuitive art, anything that helps you feel your devotion. And the other thing that this aspect is good for is surrendering to the forces of love, surrendering to God, whatever you call it, Christ, unity consciousness, Christ consciousness, Great Spirit, like I said, whatever it is, the universe, but the laws of love in the universe, because the universe contains everything. So you always have to make a strong commitment to what you're going to stand for and what you're going to involve yourself in, whether it's just on the spiritual levels or in the physical levels. So, and with the Sun in Taurus moving towards Uranus, things are going to be kind of wild and shaken up. So the main thing I want you guys to get clear about this week is to give yourself tons of time for sleep and naps and meditation. I want your self-care to be heightened this week. And then Jupiter and Neptune, you can see, are still sextiling Pluto. So there's power, there's stability and power and mastery in hanging out in the spiritual realm. It's like if you're wanting to learn anything, spiritual. I mean, I have tons of lessons. If you can afford it at the lessons level, it's like $25 a month, but you can learn everything about tarot. I'm going to add some spreads in there as well. But I also have all the lessons for Lenormand and for Kipper and for astrology. I have everything in there about astrology all the way up through. I just need to do the nodes. I have those lessons ready and a bunch of celebrity charts to show you. And then there's a couple other things. I'll get into the transits. We'll get into, advanced techniques and how to read your own chart, all of that. But the deal is, everything's in there as far as planets, signs, aspects, the mutability fixed, all that, the modes of operation, and the hot points in a chart, and all the houses, which I can't go into when I do these readings, but anything that you want to learn that would expand your consciousness about the way the universe works, that's what this transit is all about, because you'll get some very, very tangible results at investing in that. If you can afford it. And if you can't, just watch all my free videos or watch anyone else's free videos that you can sense in that they are natural or, they teach on some level. Not all readers do that. A lot of readers just are very psychic, very, very psychic, but they're not all teachers. We all have our unique offering. So take whatever you want and be with it, but always remember to come back into your own authority. With Pluto and Capricorn, the whole transit, since 2008 through, it'll be 2023, and then it won't be solid into Aquarius until 2024. But this whole transit has been about shedding the layers that are on top of your integrity and on top of your inner core, on top of your true authority, so that you come through this transit really being in your own deep well of authority. And, with Pluto trining the North Node, and, this transit right here, the North Node and Mercury's going to keep going pretty quickly, but we have this week, we've had the weekend before and the lead up to it to get those messages. What is it that could be disempowering you, or what could be empowering you if you were to go in that direction, or if you would let go of those old habits that have been disempowering and maybe wasting your time, or just kind of keeping you stuck. Because remember, Pluto can get stagnant if you're going to fear, right? It's always about getting out of fear. Thank goodness for the moon to just kind of push the energy along, and the same thing with Mars. Mars definitely moves energy. So this week will be about moving that spiritual energy, but most of all, compassion. And we don't like seeing this war, and we don't want to continue on in this direction. So, man, hats off to all these NATO leaders and world leaders that are really trying to do their best. Okay, so what's different about today? The sun's still in Taurus. The moon has moved on the other side of Mars. There's a little oomph, and we have the moon moving to very close conjunction to Venus. So again, it was such a good day for art, spirituality, surrendering to love, the forces of love, and just going in that direction. Keeping our hearts open rather than sending out fear and sending out hatred or sending out just any kind of negativity, right? But at the same point, being very wise about how we spend our money, because remember, there is the greed. We are holding space for the transformation of greed, and greed really just comes from a belief in lack. There's always enough love. There might not be enough resources, but there's always enough love, and we can if we protect our resources. And we do operate from sustainability. Am I sounding like a broken record or what? Let's just go with the spiritual side of it for now, because I think I've said enough about the mundane physical aspects of all these transits. So today, what's catching my eye so far is this Pluto semi-square, the moon, and Venus. There's a connection here because these are coming into orb. Mars moves pretty quick, but I don't want to... Well, you know what? I probably should, because Mars is what could help. I'll just draw a little heart there. Okay, so remember semi-squares, this little aspect here. It has to do with, it's like a little, kind of a minor, it's like 45 degree, when signs are apart. And so Capricorn wants to get things done, wants things to be solid, doesn't want any floundering around, doesn't want anything wishy-washy. And Pisces is like, oh, how about we just be in our creative flow? Do we have to be so dang productive today? Right? What if I just meditate all day, and maybe that would be fine, and then we'll get the other stuff done later. Well, I've always found that if you mix the two together, like I used to do tons of meditation retreats where we would meditate for a couple hours, and then we would get up and we'd all cook, a meal together. We'd all go for walks, then we'd come back and meditate, and then we'd get up and move around. Sometimes it would be like music and dance or something, or again, walking outside. Then, you stay very grounded in your body, and that's where the keys to your spiritual freedom truly are, is through the body. So that's a real message here. And I'm so much more compassionate. I think this could be a lot of donations that come in to help to support Ukraine. this little aspect here, you know, this semi-square, it creates friction that needs some action. So this is why I was saying, you know, if you're doing a lot of meditation or art or whatever, make sure you take time to take care of your body and you know, do the dishes, do a little bit around the house, or maybe you need a nap in between. Whatever it is that you need. Remember, this week is so much about self-care. And the other, okay, so everything else is the same. Pluto is still sextiling Jupiter, which can be amazing for creating those works of art. You know, whatever you're doing, whether it's writing, whether it's automatic writing or you're getting in touch with your guides that way, whether it's doodling, whatever it is to help you get into your creative center, that's what this week is about. And it will guide you on your path. So not to worry about that, and especially with Jupiter. See this sextile here? Well, we have to include Neptune because it's just so close. But Jupiter's moving along, and look how there's this exact sextile right here to Mercury. So remember, Mercury's the messenger, and in Taurus it will be about tangible support. It will be about money. It will be about finances. Well, same thing. I'm sorry, redundant there. And in Taurus, just think of, let's add Venus into the mix. Well, Venus is right there, right? So there's this influence that comes that has to do with how we relate to others, how we communicate to others, how we communicate with spirit, and how we can heal the past by getting those new pieces of information. And because Mercury is all about how we think and how we learn and how we communicate. And with this nice, soft, easy aspect, we can heal the past while this is still in orb. So take advantage of that. Do any deep soul work that needs to happen where you heal those false beliefs from the past that could have been holding you back and could still be holding you back. Especially with, you know, with that Saturn square the nodes backdrop, just remember, you know, the rules in here, let's tune into this for a second. The rules in evolutionary astrology are when a planet squares the nodes, you sit at the planet and you go to the left, and that's the resolution node. And the resolution node in this lineup is the south node, and the south node is the past. When I look at a natal chart or any chart, I always look for the south node first. I always make sure both nodes are in there, and I look at the south node first because I see that as like the insertion point into this lifetime for the soul, right? And the north node is where they're headed to get that deep transformation work done, but the south node's their well of wisdom and experience. So sometimes with Scorpio in the south node, it can have to do with determination and getting yourself to the place where you really rely on yourself, you really trust yourself, but it can be intense and you can go through all types of crisis, and you can have like secrets you think that are just awful and no one else should ever know them, and there could have been traumas and abuses and you feel bad about yourself because of them, but that's not your fault that happened. It's not your fault. So healing and opening up on the intimate levels to other people that you trust. Taurus can be so much about trust and safety. So this is all about this dynamic of safety. So healing the past is what's on the table for all of us. Okay, now I'm tuned in here, but let's see, am I missing? Well, I like seeing this Saturn here sextiling the north node, because Saturn's moving along too. So there's some ease coming in to some opportunity with the sextiles. We're dealing with opportunities that that could come in to help you on your path. Now, this could be financially with Taurus. It could also be on the relationship level. Could also have to do with growing your own food, growing anything that brings more sustainability and abundance to you in Taurus. Because remember, Taurus is about security and, things that you can rely on. It doesn't like being pushed, doesn't like being rushed. So with Saturn there, I think there's some mastery coming in, because with Aquarius, we're dealing with thinking about the future and trying to master something for the future to bring in more abundance. So just start thinking. What I just heard is think very, very long term, and things will go well. Okay, so yeah, that's good there. So Wednesday, I want to focus in. So everything's the same here. Might be a little more nebulous, but also really good for spirituality. So when it comes to relationships, notice what they do, not what they say. Don't trust what they say, because there can be, just with a grain of salt. Sometimes people talk about things that they want to, they talk about themselves as if they're already a certain way, and it's really who they want to be, but they're just not there yet. So, but it's okay. Just let them be and send them lots of love. But wait and see with this kind of a lineup. And that's especially true because so I really want to tune in here to the Sun conjunct Uranus, because something is going to be revealed with this. And so let's look at the connections here. Uranus, of course, is still, Mars is in the mix. So right here, this Mars in Pisces is in the mix to Uranus. Now, so there's an opportunity to move towards your spirituality, to wake up to something. Remember, Uranus is a great awakener. Uranus is, it's that urge to move towards something greater than yourself. It's the urge to be involved with kindred spirits who are like-minded, but also to have your individuality within that group. That's really important with Uranus. And with, I can't negate this, Saturn is still in this mix here too, right? So, and Mercury too, right? Because I go with a pretty wide orb when it comes to, oh dang it, I just wrote on myself. So communicating with people about the future, okay? So the future and communication, making plans for the future is all great, but go slow. You're gathering facts and you're gathering steam and you're moving towards something that could be really wonderful, but still go slow before there's any commitments. Take your time with it. And notice how today we have, this is fantastic here with the Moon conjunct Jupiter, and this is another reason why you've got to take your time. Well, shoot, I can't, I have to just say the whole dang thing here, right? Because you can see, hold on, see the Moon conjunct Jupiter right there, 27 degrees, 10 minutes, 27 degrees, 14 minutes. I mean, that is tight. That's a tight orb to wake up with. You could wake up having had the best dreams of ever, and having creative ideas come through. And you might want to make sure you write down your dreams. You might want to make sure that on Tuesday night, I think it's a good idea to do it every night, is always have a dream journal by your bed. And another great thing is to, keep all of your, your notes about your soul progress and your soul process and your, all of your soul work. Just keep it all in the same journal so that you can see how your dreams relate to how your guides are trying to help you heal. And let's see. Yeah, the message is coming through. The message is coming through literally here to help heal the past. The moon is so connected to dream time. Pisces is definitely connected to dream time in the past. Pisces rules everything in the 12th house. Neptune rules the 12th house. Neptune's the modern ruler of Pisces. This is such it's such an emphasis of spirituality and healing the past here. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than this. Healing the past through forgiveness, through honoring your past experiences as being maybe something that you just needed to go through in order to heal or to help others heal, and to let go of any judgments about what the past was, especially with Saturn squaring the nodes. And to just keep opening up to new ways of, just think of adding, because Taurus is ruled by Venus. Think of like Venus in the mix here, right? So inventions for Uranus can be inventions for safety that help people feel better, help people be more secure, help people have more trust in each other, have faith in each other, and to be allowed to go slow. The waking, but then again, the waking up process can be quickly experienced this week with this conjunction here, because it's going to get tighter and tighter. Okay, so let's see. Oh, I should talk about, hold on. Should talk about this right here. We do have these semi-squares right here between all this Pisces energy and Uranus. So yeah, so taking action again to release the friction. It's not going to feel good if you don't on your path. It's just not going to feel good. And so feel your way through it. What I always do is I put myself in the position of, so I meditate, sit down, and I think about, okay, well, if I did this, how does that feel? And I trust my body to tell me, do I feel like I'm losing power, or is the universe coming through me, or am I feeling stuck? Well, what if I go in that direction, whatever that direction would be. Trying to weigh those decisions, right? Mercury decisions, Saturn decisions, opening up to the universe to help you make those decisions that will help you be more safe and abundant and secure, and have more faith in yourself and your body. You just sit down and ask and see how you feel, and trust your guts, trust your body. Your body won't lie to you. It just won't. So if you feel better when you think of going in a certain direction and you feel empowered, then that's the right direction. And if you don't, then it's not. Okay, so let me keep going here. I think everything else I've already said. And it's, a week long and more. These transits are going much further. So today the moon is conjunct Chiron. And we have that semi-square up here to Saturn, right? So there can be some action that needs to be taken, like you might have to just get up and go for a walk to burn off some energy because you don't like what you're seeing in the news, or you don't like this authority, government, or whatever they're doing doesn't feel right to you. Because remember, we're still in this tension field of Saturn squaring the nodes. And notice that the semi-square also kicks over here to the north node, right? And all the while, here we go. It's like, well, yeah, shoot, this whole thing here. Saturn square there. Yeah, right in there. Or I'm sorry, this semi-square here over to the Sun and Uranus now. Yeah, man. So I like that the moon's in Aries because it's going to get us thinking more with more initiative, with a little more courage to think of win-win situations and to assert ourselves and assert our own unique individuality and waking up to that and kind of letting, letting this back here just be kind of like, like, wah, wah. Like, whatever. Okay, so that's how Thursday feels to me. I like it. And then Friday, here's when Pluto goes retrograde, and it's happening exactly at 11:36 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, so adjust to your time zone accordingly. And it is squaring, need a different color here, squaring the moon at 27 degrees. Okay, so the moon square Pluto as it's retrograde. This is going to be an intense day. We're going to have our courage and our individuality and our own uniqueness and our own trailblazing initiative that wants to come through. And if we can come from our integrity, if we can be in our own power, in our own authority, as long as we're not hurting someone else, or we're, sometimes saying no can be the loving thing for both parties. And sometimes it can just be no, not now. Doesn't mean it's no forever, but no, not now. I have to go my own way. Or it can be this challenge that turns into a great strength. And sometimes that is, with saying no. Sometimes it is standing up and asserting yourself and saying, no, I can't right now. Or no, I don't want to right now because I'm focused on something else that is really important to me and I have to go in that direction. And so if they love you, they're going to salute you. They're going to be so happy for you, and they will even if it causes them a little bit of pain, they're still going to want you to be happy because that's what real love is. So if you don't have that in your life, in those relationships, you're going to be shifting into new relationships because that's what this territory is all about here, right? And so notice how Uranus is, the sun is inching closer and closer every day, about 1 degree a day, to Uranus, and Uranus's change. And in Taurus, it has to be something solid. It's not wishy-washy. It's solid. You got to be dependable. You've got to be faithful. And and with Pluto trining Mercury here, it still connects to the North Node there. This is really important because this would be that communication. Remember, Mercury, communication that is really solid, coming from your authority. So that's what Pluto, what I see Pluto retrograde being, because we can look at the aspects to, we're dealing with a planet that moves so slowly. So when it stations to go into retrograde, and then when it is retrograde, the station would have been yesterday, the retrograde is today. What happens is, whatever aspects that are made to it, it can be of lasting importance that goes beyond just the day, okay? That's how it works. Just like, remember the Aries Ingress reading, when we went into the first day of spring, I gave you that piece of information about the whole year could be like that chart of that, that week. So, you can always refer back to that reading to look at the flavor of the whole year, because it's, Aries, the first day of spring, is like starting the whole new year. The day Aries is in 0 degrees. because, we have spring here, we have summer here, we have fall here, and we have winter here. And when it comes to tarot, wands, cups, swords, and pentacles. Don't you love how astrology and tarot just definitely go together? So, okay, so let's see, what else? So the moon squaring Pluto can be power struggles, but if we're coming from our love and our love for the direction our lives need to go in, we're going to be fine, and we're going to be saluting and helping each other. This challenge can turn into a strength. Squares can always turn into a strength. Oppositions can turn into breakthroughs. Because you come face to face with something, eventually there's a breakthrough. So let's see. Anything else? I feel like it's just really so much about Pluto. Everything else is, we still have these opportunities with these sextiles here to this stellium, to Mercury and the North Node. This Jupiter sextile Mercury is still in play. Everything that we talked about for yesterday is still there, to help heal the past. So let's go forward. Let's see. Let's look at the eclipse. So that's not till Saturday. I got y'all excited, didn't I? So anyway, Pluto retrograde trining Mercury. What's new today is that Mercury has moved into Gemini. Now it's more about gathering new information as to your new sense of authority with yourself, and talking to other people about your new ideas, gathering information, weighing the different sides, when it comes to Gemini, learning, questioning. Sometimes it can be so full of information that you can get distracted and then be in avoidance. But Gemini wants to be seen and heard and understood, and if we're not, we're going to feel pain around that. And that will always lead us back to childhood pain, because a lot of children were not seen and heard and understood, and it's a real need. To be connected with warmth and security is a real need for a child, and part of that is being seen and heard and understood. So, yeah. Definitely, if you have small children or if you're around any children, make sure that you're listening intently. And that's part of listening is a Taurus trait. And listening for things that can help in the future with Uranus there, that's a Taurus trait. And with Uranus and Taurus there. And then there's that little semi-square again, but it relates to all of this. So with Mars getting closer, inching closer to Neptune, the energy is moving in much more compassionate ways, much more artistic ways, much more spiritual, helpful ways, and the action is going to need to be taken in order to increase more safety. There could be some inventions that come through, this whole transit of Taurus, Uranus and Taurus, we are going to see more and more and more inventions that relate to safety and security. So we can just keep expecting that. And we can also expect to see some information breakthroughs with this trine to Pluto retrograde, because remember, the whole backdrop here is still, the whole January 6th committee insurrection investigation, and at some point it'll go to the DOJ. And they're talking about trying to, have a televised trial in May or June. And it's all leading up to, hold on, let me grab the chart. It's all leading up to this. Mars, Uranus conjunct the North Node that happens in August. Look at that. That's coming up. That's coming up August 1st. There's going to be major breakthroughs that come. And see how the planets are more broken up. We've been going through everything being all one-sided over here. Things are broken up by this summer. So, if you've been treasonous or... Hold on. There, okay. If you've been treasonous and dirty and lying, and now you're flipping it around trying to say I didn't say that, well, there's texts that prove that you said that. There's communications that prove what your position was. So you're not going to get out of it. So those things are going to be coming out in the future, and we're all going to see that, and I think we can look forward to that. The other tricky thing today is, and I'm sorry, I should have said, hold on, got to pay attention to this up here. It's 3:24 p.m. Pacific time, so about 6:24 p.m. Eastern is when Pluto goes retrograde. And when it happens, it's also going to be squaring the moon, which I talked about yesterday too. So this is intense. It's still there, and it's building the pressure. The moon and the sun is going to come together, and we're going to have the eclipse, which happens Saturday, 1:28 p.m. Okay, 1:28 p.m. Pacific, 4:28 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so the new moon solar eclipse in Taurus, you can see it here, is conjunct Uranus. And I always have like a wide orb with the rules here, so it also conjuncts the North Node. And of course, you guys know the North Node is the path that we're all heading, and it's towards security. It's towards being. Literally, Taurus can be so much about like being human. With the sun and the moon conjunct at 10 degrees Taurus, so wherever this is in your chart, 10 degrees Taurus, whatever house it's in your chart, is going to be something that is going to be in effect for your life, for, it can be a few months, but you've been feeling it and it's been leading up to it. And you would look at the polarity, you'd look at both houses. So let's say it is in the second house. Well, you'd also go with the polarity of the 8th house. I went through that a couple of, let's see, was it last year? Yeah, it was in last year when and I can't remember my 2nd and 8th house are actually Gemini and Sag. And I had internet problems up the wazoo that just, I kept having to go back and forth. But I did help my internet provider, my ISP, become a better company. They're so much better now. I just, if there's a little blip, they get right back online. But I kept having massive problems. They were having massive problems with their little tower that's out over the ways, because I have to have satellite internet here. I don't have the ground. I mean, I do, but I don't have the upload speeds I want. You can't upload anything on YouTube with 2 megabits a second. It just doesn't work. They have 25, download, but then 2 uploads. That doesn't work. So, anyway, if it's happening in your 2nd to 8th house, your 2nd house is going to be, what you have, what you value, what you need, right? And the 8th house is going to be other people's resources. So if it's in those houses, you're going to have an issue there that you're going to have to deal with. If it's the 3rd to the 9th, it's going to be let's go with this. Okay, so the first, let's pretend this is in your 1st house. It's going to be you, versus relationship, you versus others, you finding yourself, sense of self versus others. Second house, I've already talked about that. Third house would be communication and so learning, and then higher mind. It can be communication and publishing. It can be courts of law. It can be community in courts of law. It can be anything related to Gemini. Just imagine, in the third house. Fourth house is home versus career, right? Home versus reputation, roots versus reputation. Fifth house is creativity, and to the 11th is groups and wishes and goals, all right? Your creative pursuits, your creative self-expression, your children, but children can be in the fourth too. This can be like mom and dad, and this can be creativity and grandparents even. The sixth house has to do with your work, service, your daily details of life, the structure of how your daily schedule goes, and health. And the 12th house, so it'd be, if it was the 6th to the 12th, it could be that, and then your spirituality and your connection to source energy, your connection to, God, your guides, to art, everything. This 6th house to 12th can be beautiful that way. So you just have to know your chart and know where it lands for the eclipse. But a solar eclipse, and it's only a partial eclipse, but a new moon solar eclipse it's not so challenging. It's actually one of those things that helps us get more in touch with what we really need when it's in Taurus, to do some deep inner listening, and it's going to help us wake up with Uranus here. And I feel like this is actually a pretty good one. I don't think it's going to be troubling at all. But everything I said before applies, when it comes to being careful with our finances, being careful with who we trust with our money and our resources, and being careful about who we decide to, invest in, get in bed with, so to speak. Because you want them to be stable, right? You want them to be, and with Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, more is going to come out of the woodwork as to who's not safe to trust, because we're dealing with trust and betrayal here when we're in the Taurus Scorpio axis. But with Uranus, it's coming out. So again, these dirty deeds, I don't know, maybe were they done dirt cheap? Maybe because they probably got their cash from Russia, and through all these dirty money laundering, situations, all this stuff is going to be coming out. The truth always comes out eventually, always. So you can count on that. That's spiritual law. So we're learning how to heal, how to integrate, how to move towards our inner unity, bringing all the wisdom and the experience of the past along with us, and stand up in our integrity and move forward that way, and start thinking that way. Thinking about, wonder if this guy's lying. Wonder if this person's telling the truth. Wonder if this whole company is built on the shaky foundation of lies, right? Yeah. And what's not good for the greater good of the whole is a shaky foundation, right? And Pluto is the transformation ground for breaking things apart that are not built on a solid foundation. And Pisces is all about knowing how connected we all are. So if we can build our lives based on that and wake up, Uranus and Taurus, wake up to that, then we can heal the past and move forward in a whole new way. A whole new way. I just absolutely love that. So let's see, is there anything else before I close up? Well, I'm drawn to this Jupiter, Venus, Venus, Jupiter. Neptune's going to, stay there for quite some time, and all these planets are going to move forward. I think it's actually May. Is it May 2nd? Yeah. It's May 2nd that Venus, by May 2nd, which is right around the corner, Venus will be in Aries. So we just have this week with this lineup that is so powerful. And Venus and Jupiter conjunct, I have this little, hold on, let me find, I think it's Earth Sky. I get these, I get this daily email. Hold on, do I have it? Yeah, here it is. Earth Sky News. Yeah, Earth Sky News. If you want to subscribe to them, you'll get a daily email, and the one I got this week had to do with, or I got the other day, had to do with the Venus-Jupiter conjunction that's you'll be able to see in the sky. So they were saying that if you, look up at the sunrise direction, you can see Jupiter and Venus together. And that Mars you can still see too, but it's more faint. So of course Jupiter's the biggest one. You'll be able to see it, and then Venus will be pretty strong, and then Mars is there, and fainter Mars and Saturn. Like, we can see all this in the sky if we get up in the morning early while it's still dark and look in sunrise direction. And then I guess, you could do it at night too. You could look in the dark and see. So, yeah, and then as this whole week, I probably should have just told you this on Monday, because that's something you could be seeing this whole week. But it's really tight orb here on Saturday. So let's see, I think that's it. Yeah. I would say in summary, just be very careful about trusting these airlines and any of these government institutions that say it's okay to go without a mask, because we're not done, and we won't know that we're done until the cases come down so low that, it's not happening anymore. But we're not there because there are still so many of us that are unvaccinated and so many people that can't be vaccinated, and we really have to protect them. So, that's my spiel. If you care about others, wear your mask, even if you're vaccinated. And even if you're vaccinated, you can still get it, and it can still be a couple weeks of hell. So who needs that, right? So, yeah, take your own authority, your own sense of self-responsibility for your health, and you'll be fine. So, okay. Well, that's it, you guys. Thanks so much for hanging in there with me, and sending you big hugs as always. Okay, bye.